It's the weekend and you have financial questions that need answering. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome to the Jill on Money Show, the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. We do that by asking you to ask us financial questions. We're starting the program with Marie, who's on the line from New Jersey.
So I unfortunately have inherited some money, unfortunately, due to my husband's passing. We did have the smarts or the ahead of time knowledge to have life insurance. We got it when we were younger, not knowing any of this was going to happen. And then he passed away of cancer in July of 2023.
Oh my God. This is just, it's the worst. It's the worst. I am so sorry. I know you don't need me to say that because you know you're living the worst. But I am so sorry. And we're going to help you out because that is what we do. And you more than anyone else right now, because this is so important. It's funny what you just said. I just heard it funny. Like, we didn't think about anything. We just did it, right? Because you're young and you had kids, and that's why you said
we didn't even have kids at that point. We were 25. We had just bought our house. We were recently married. And we thought, let's get a $500,000 term policy just to cover the mortgage, just in case. Mm-hmm. And then we opened up a whole life after we had 2 kids, which that would be something I want to talk to you about. And then it came to be that we actually needed this money at such a young age.
Oh, terrible. All right. So you got some kids. How old are they?
12 and 15.
Okay. And so let's talk a little bit about what's going on right now. Are you working?
I am working. I work in a school. So I will get a pension, which I know you always
Love.
But yes, I work full-time in a school.
Okay. How much do you earn?
I earn, so from my school job, I make about $90,000 a year. Mm-hmm. But then I do extra work. So probably it is about 96 at the end of the year. And then I also do side work where I do therapy in people's homes. Okay. So I make about, before taxes, because it's a 1099, I make like about $800 a month from that.
Wow. Mm-hmm. All right. That's pretty awesome. So altogether $100,000 for a year, about, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. On your $100,000 without your husband's salary, how has your cash flow been?
So my cash flow, it's been okay because I also now am receiving survivor benefits for both the boys.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how much does that's Social Security, until what age do they get that?
They
18?
get it. It's 18, but graduated high school, and they're both October birthdays. So they actually get it till they're 18 and a half, a little over 18 and 7 months.
Okay. And how much is that Social Security a month?
They each get $2,216.
Okay.
So it's been very helpful in terms of, replacing my husband's salary.
And there's the Social Security, the two of them, plus your $100,000. Are you able to cover all of your bills on that?
So it's about $10,000 coming in, and I spend about $7,500 a month.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It is.
The $7,500 a month is kind of like the house and all the stuff and everything.
It's the mortgage. Yes. It's life. It's food. It's activities. I'm trying to maintain life being the same, normal. So, sports or other art classes or something like that they're interested in. Yes.
Okay. And are you putting money into retirement and or savings when you're saying $10,000 coming in, that's your net? Is there money going out that is an automatic investing, either a retirement plan contribution? What's going out?
So I have a Roth IRA. So I inherited my husband's. We both were doing automatic investments every month, and I've continued with that. So I continued to do that, and then I have money taken out for a 403b that goes straight from my paycheck into the 403b account, and then that's it for right now. We do have 529s, which we were doing automatic investments, but then we kind of stopped for a little bit, and I'm not sure, if maybe I should start those up again.
Okay. So in the Roth IRA that's now combined since you inherited your husband's, how much is in there?
Okay. So I'm going to kind of go through because I inherited, he was a squirreler. He squirreled away money in different places, which, most of them I knew about because we had time to talk about all these things. And I knew, where we have always been joint on everything. So, we knew where our money was going, but I kind of didn't realize, how things add up. But so in my Roth IRA, I have 295,000.
Okay.
And I inherited an IRA, which is just under 114.
Okay. That's
then
great.
I inherited a 401k with 80,000. And then
when you say that, just one quick question on the 401k, you have not changed any of you haven't rolled it over or anything. It's still in the 401k.
It's rolled over into my name, but still with the same Fidelity company. Yeah.
Okay. So and you said that was 80. Is that what you said?
80,000.
Okay. So 295, 114, 80,000 in that 401k. How much is in your 403b, by the way?
80,000.
Oh, that's 80,000.
No. Both are 80,000.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. And what else? What other squirreling little habits?
Well, so
those
were his. No, those were his. There's a couple other little accounts that we had. I don't know, but through online things, and so I'm still trying to get those. But I mean, less than 1,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how about money in the bank right now? You said there are some there's insurance proceeds. So what's in
insurance proceeds. So for right now, I have a high yield savings of 226,000.
Okay.
And then what I did with instead of like having to move the boys' Social Security benefits, because my husband did want me to use it if I needed it, but he also wanted to kind of leave a legacy and have something for them when they're older and they want to like make a purchase if I was able to swing it. So I did open up a brokerage account and I put 204,000 in there because it would be it's a little less than what they would get split. And then it gives me a little extra every month that I don't have to worry about putting to the side. So I sort of
I just want to make sure I understand this.
Yeah.
Your husband said, look, the Social Security comes in, you need to use that. Don't worry about that being in their names. But instead, put aside a lump sum of money that is kind of equivalent to that. And that's what's in the brokerage account, that 200 grand, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's for boys.
Yes.
And
then
I'm sorry, keep going.
Oh, and then I have a CD of 500,000.
Holy smokes.
I know. It actually comes to mature. I just got very nervous in August. Everything was happening so quickly. I thought, let me grab the great interest rate of 4.4. Little did I know the CD rates were going to go up.
I mean, and little did you know a lot of things. So let's okay. It's the Jill on Money Show, and we'll be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. Before we went to break, we were talking to Marie from New Jersey, who's dealing with a loss and an inheritance. How much money is in the 529 plans for the kids?
The 15-year-old has just under 50,000. And the 12-year-old has 30,000.
Do you think, I mean, you know more about the 15-year-old because he's now in high school, college bound or not?
Yes, both.
Rutgers or Princeton?
He
See how
wants
I
to go
picked
to
that?
UCLA or
Oh,
someplace like
geez.
that. No,
Oh,
I don't
great.
know. Yes,
Warm weather.
I don't know. I don't quite know what
Okay.
he's
All right.
thinking yet. Yes.
I understand the brokerage account question. I guess my other issue for you is that if you have that CD that's coming due, and you have the 226,000 in the high yield savings, is there some part of that you do want to push into their 529 plans so that you are done
I
funding?
absolutely could. Yeah.
Okay. Is
Yeah.
that something, so that would be important to you? Like that would be a good thing to do?
That would be a good thing. I think I just got a little nervous. I know things changed with the whole what if they don't go, or what if they get a scholarship, and now I know that they could roll it over into something down the line. I mean, they've both had these since they were born, so it'll be more than the 15-year mark that I know that was set up. But I would like to fund it more if that's something. Or do I just leave what's there and let it grow, and then I sort of put something into a CD and I say, well, this is for college? Or
Well, I don't know, because the 529 is such a great deal. And by the way, in New Jersey, you can deduct up to $10,000 of contributions that you make.
Oh,
So I don't know if you know that.
I did not know that.
I just happened to click onto the New Jersey Division of Taxation website. A fun site every time. For tax year 2022 and forward, the New Jersey has 3 income deductions for those who file with gross income of $200,000 or less. So that's you. Are you in the NJ Best 529 plan?
I'm not. So no. So see, I'm in a New Mexico plan. What's happening right now is my husband was the custodian. Only one person could be the custodian.
Uh-huh.
So now it's being changed over to my name.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm fine with rolling it over to somewhere else.
Yeah. You can roll it over. But I think that what you really want to do is make sure that you are taking advantage of the fact that you can do this, right? So you'll have to talk to somebody at the NJ Best 529 plan. And just tell them what's happening so that we know, right? And just and while you're on the phone with them, say, my husband passed away. I would like to be able to fund the 15-year-old's plan and put a lot of money in 1 year. What is the rule on lifetime contributions into the plan? That's what we need to know. I mean, you don't have to do it, but you want to make sure that if you put 100 grand in today, right? He's all set. Then he's got his 150 grand. And then what you could do for the little one is in that plan, you could basically say, instead of doing all at once, you could just say, put in 10 grand a year, maybe 15 grand a year, and let's see how it goes. And let's see where a 15-year-old ends up, because a 15-year-old's like, actually, I went to Rutgers after all. Not happening, I get it. Or I got a huge scholarship. Then we know how much money we have left to play with.
That's true. Okay. I like
right?
that advice. Yes.
So we can now, so I think that, you can fund that. That's easily done because you have the high yield savings. So I'm just forgetting about the CD for a second. The brokerage account for the boys, do you want to have that? Like when you thought about that with your husband, were you thinking about that like long term, like after college, they have a chunk of money that's available to them? Is that kind of what it was?
That was sort of the idea. He thought, if they want to buy a house or something like that, he just wanted to kind of have a legacy of something like, oh, my father,
oh, it's beautiful,
left this for me. I decided to just kind of do this back in November because I was sort of moving money from, every time they got their deposit, and it just got to be too much. And I thought, well, why not just take a lump sum from the future and it can earn more interest now instead of like little by little building it up. So that's kind of how it came to be. So it's just in my name. One thing I did forget to mention, they do have it's under my name. I guess I'm the custodian, but I did open a CD for them based off of a GoFundMe amount, which was about $23,000. It's kind of earmarked for college.
When is that CD due?
In August. I just did a 1-year CD.
So you have plenty of money, thank God. Which is.
But I feel like I don't. I feel like it. I don't know. I think that's my worry.
Do you
is
feel?
that I have
Do you feel a
two
little?
children?
Well, wait a second. Do you feel overwhelmed by this in general?
Absolutely.
Because okay, so
Absolutely.
who's helping you with your stuff? Anybody?
My parents are financially savvy, and so I do bounce ideas off of them, and I feel like they give really good advice. But otherwise, I haven't really gotten into a relationship with a fiduciary or anything because I just don't want to spend money on. I don't even know what I need yet, and I don't want to spend $5,000-6,000. I don't.
Yeah, I get.
Everything is like bring all the money to this way. Bring all the money, and that worries me.
Okay,
bringing all my money to one person.
Take a deep breath. All right, we know fee only people in New Jersey, so I can give you some names. A very good person. I know the person who literally was like the president of the National Association of Personal Financial Advisors. Straight shooter, all the way. I'll give you her name. Mark will send you her name.
I mean, I feel like I just want a person to bounce ideas off of.
Right. I think that what you need, honestly, in hearing your whole story, you're fine financially. The kids are going to be fine financially. You're going to have like this horrible hole in your heart for your entire life. But the financial part, that we can cover that. You've done it. I didn't have to do a thing. You guys did it. You and your husband. Okay.
I was going to say he did it. He was very smart about a lot of these sort of things, and I am smart too, but he just sort of was frugal and made sure that like we did. And I was like, wow, I mean, the fact that I have this money and he's not here to enjoy it,
I know it sucks.
A bummer.
It is a huge stinko. So I think what you do need is a game plan because there's so much going on. And I don't think that means that someone has to consolidate everything and take over and do everything. But you need someone to help you understand how to put everything you and I have just talked about into a plan. And you can execute that plan yourself. It's going to cost some money, but I do think it would be extraordinarily valuable to you to have a game plan. And I don't think it's a bad thing to pay up for that. I really don't, as long as I know that you're getting someone good. You also mentioned that there was some whole life. Do you still have whole life on your life?
So that's the next question that I have. I do. I have a whole life policy. I've kind of calculated it over the last 11 years. I've put in like 33,000.
Mm-hmm.
The death benefit is 233,000. But I now have cash value of like 22,000 and dividends of 15,000. And I'm like, I have to pay $238 every month. Do I keep doing this or do I not? Because even the other thing I forgot to mention is I freaked out a year and a half ago with my husband's diagnosis, and I got another $250,000 policy from myself.
What was the death benefit of the whole life? You said 233,000?
Yeah, it's up to 233,000 now.
Okay. So here's the thing. I think as part of the planning process, someone should look at that. My inclination is to not put any more money into that because you now have you have a big change in your life, obviously. You had this event which created liquidity, meaning it created this pool of money. So just to be brutally clinical about this, the 200,000 that you thought you would have needed if something happened to you has now been liquefied. You have all this money from insurance, from the CD. You have so God forbid something were to happen to you. God forbid. There's a lot of money here. We'll get back to Marie in just a moment. If you have a question, just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are here trying to help you make different financial choices, or maybe just give you a little boost, maybe make sure you're on the right track. If you've got a question, just go to our website, jillonmoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. Don't forget to let us know if you would be willing to come on the air live with us. Now, you can join us via audio, and you can also come on via video. And if you just want to see us, check out our YouTube show. It's called Jill on Money, powered by The Compound. All of our content is right there on the website, including links to our audio show, our video show, and a link so you can sign up for our free weekly newsletter, which is a wonderful way to get ready for this program. We know that you guys are so enthusiastic about the content, and we love hearing from you. So check it all out. Just bookmark jillonmoney.com. Now let's get back to Marie, who's on the line from New Jersey. Who is the guardian of these kids if something were to happen to you? Parents?
Well,
grandparents?
no, my brother.
Okay.
So I actually just about 3 weeks ago, I signed off on I did a testamentary trust will. And then it was like all my other paperwork, the advance directive and everything. So my brother and I are very close.
Oh, good.
And he is good with money.
Perfect.
And he lives in New York City, so he's nearby also. So,
okay. So I think in that case, you probably don't need the whole life. What I don't know is whether you should just stop putting money in, whether you should borrow the money out or just blow out of the policy. And I think if you're going to do a financial plan, which I really encourage you to do, I cannot tell you that is something like I think that will make you feel much more settled. If that's the case, whoever conducts that plan will give you an opinion about the best way to extract the money from that policy, whether it's giving it up, borrowing the money out, or keeping it and just reducing your death benefit. And so there are ways to reduce the death benefit and you simply just stop paying into the policy. Like there's enough cash value to keep it. But let's see about that. I don't know the answer. What I do know, first of all, this is a horrifying story. And as I said, it is weird how you started this, which is like, we did this at age 25 when we never thought we'd need it. And I think that's the lesson. And thank you for saying that to start out, because that is what the message is to everyone listening. Of course, you never think you're going to need it. You're 25 freaking years old. You're young. You don't even have kids. Even if you have a 12-year-old and a 50, you never think something bad's going to happen. And something bad can happen out of the blue. And that's bad luck. That's terrible.
We almost, 3 years before his diagnosis, we almost said, we don't need this term policy. We almost were going to just cut it. And we were told by actually the person that does the whole life policy, he was like, oh my gosh, you pay nothing for that. Just keep it. Why would you ever cut it?
That is such a Mark thing that oftentimes we will say it's no money. It's nothing. You might as well keep it. And look, you are still young. You're 40,
45.
You're still young and you've got a lot of life to live. And God willing, you're here with us for as long as you possibly can. But I don't think there's any reason to just willy-nilly be like, I have enough money, I can do whatever I want. I think it's good that you're still working. I know that you're going to have that pension. I'm glad that you have the Social Security to just help with your cash flow right now. And, I think your life is going to take such different turn when the kids start going away and you're going to have to make different decisions. But for this period, this crazy, I feel like the first 3 years after you have an early death, there's just so much going on, settlement of the estate and reallocating assets and retitling. This is all a period of time where we don't want big changes. So for now, there's a few big picture things like making sure that we get the 529s moved over to this New Jersey plan, like being able to put a bunch of money into the 15-year-old's 529. You don't have to do this. If you're going to do a financial plan, then I think that will be part of this. You ask the question, should we super fund the 15-year-old's 529, or should we just be putting in 10 grand a year, one year at a time? And that is a question to be asked. how to allocate the money that's in the CD that's coming due. I personally think that should just be your money that you should be investing in a plain old brokerage account. Like you have that brokerage account that's in your name right now, but it's really the kids. If you want to open up a second account, which is really going to be, or you want to lump it all together, it's up to you. Sometimes it's easier to keep them separate, but that 500 grand should be invested. You don't need that money right now.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I do have my mortgage, and that was another question I was going to ask you, but again, interest rate, it's only a 2.8.
No, you're not allowed to pay it off. How much is that?
I'm not allowed
no,
to
you're
pay.
not. You're totally not allowed to pay that off. What's the house worth?
I have the house now is worth $697.
Okay.
According to Zillow. Okay. And I have 238 left.
No paying that off.
And we did a 15-year back in 2020. So we only have 11 years.
No paying it off.
I only have 11 years.
You can say we, because I'm going to be with you. We're with you. We are the Jill on Money community. We're with you. Don't pay that off. I can't stress enough that to me, having a real game plan will help anchor you. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to give you, you're at sea right now, right? It's like crazy. It's totally crazy. It hasn't even been a year. So we need you to feel like in control of this one aspect of your life because everything else is going to feel so out of control. So I think that a plan would really benefit you. And when we get off the air, we're going to give you the name and the number and everything of someone to talk to. But I think otherwise, like I said, this is just such a tragedy and we are so sorry. And so like as a community, we thank you for sharing your story. If you have something big going on in your life and you know that it touches your money in some way, don't hesitate to get in touch with us. JillOnMoney.com is the website, and just click the Contact Us button and write your note. We'll get it and we'll hopefully bring you on the air with us. The Jill on Money Show. We will be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we continue to answer any financial question that you have. If you've got one that's bubbling up, just go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. While you're on the website, check out the Jill on Money Live community. This is a subscription webinar series where you pay $35, and for that low price, you get to join us for 4 quarterly webinars. We also make all of our previous webinars available for viewing, and we've got special bonus content. Our next Jill on Money live webinar is with Cal Newport. He's a best-selling author, one of the world's top productivity experts. That's coming up pretty soon on March 19th. That's when Cal Newport will be joining us, but you've got to be part of Jill on Money Live to be able to participate. Okay, right now, let's take this email. This is from Kai, who writes, "Hi, Jill and Mark. I've been on the show previously, but I'm hoping you can confirm that I'm doing the right thing about a different issue." I love a recidivist person, writer, or person who's been on the program. It's great. Kai says, "My spouse and I both work. I am 52 and a W-2 employee. My spouse is 48 and a contractor. Together, we make about $220,000 a year. We put about 15% toward retirement annually. We have a cash cushion of about $37,000 and a household net worth of about $1.1 million. And by the way, that excludes any real estate. Okay. We live below our means, and we have about $1,000 extra every month that I've been itching to invest in the market. I would do that either in my Roth IRA or a brokerage account. But here's the rub. I hear you ask callers all the time if they are responsible for other people. And in our case, the answer is yes. We both have aging fathers with dementia who require 24/7 care. Oh my gosh. My father is 81 and is in an assisted living facility. His income only covers about 40% of the cost for the next few years before his savings run out. Oh my gosh. My father-in-law is 94 and aging in place at home. He has a 24/7 caregiver. His pension covers his care, but there's still the upkeep and taxes on the home to pay annually, and his savings is dwindling. Both make too much money to qualify for Medicaid. As much as I want to invest our extra cash, I've been funneling it all into a high yield savings account. I know investing is for long-term growth, and I suspect one or both of the fathers will require financial assistance within the shorter term. It just feels weird not to be taking advantage of future growth. I just need confirmation that this is the right thing. Yeah, Kai, first of all, this is a very common situation these days where people are now feeling the weight of the aging upper generation, the parents who are living quite longer than anyone ever expected, oftentimes with things that require assistance. I don't think you can afford to invest this money. Obviously, with a 94-year-old, it's unlikely this is going to go on for so long. But I mean, the 81-year-old father, I'm somewhat concerned that that's a longer term issue. So I wonder, do you have siblings who are also helping, or is it just you and your spouse? I think you really cannot afford to do anything different than what you're doing right now. That's a tough situation. I'm sorry. Lindsay writes, love the show and your direct responses, hoping for general insight. When I first started working and could contribute to a 401k through my employer, I was all in on pre-tax. I think it was automatically set up. Years later, I learned that it was better to shift to a Roth. I'm 36 and make $105,000 a year. I contribute less, I think probably than the max is what Lindsay's talking about, because the daycare bill is a killer, and I hope to do more in a few years. I contribute 2% to pre-tax, 8% to Roth. I hear a lot of people who are converting now. I'm curious if I should focus all of my contributions to Roth. Is there a balance of thought to aim for when I'm decades away from retiring? You know, Lindsay, you are decades away, which is actually a very important part of this. It makes the Roth so much more valuable. And at $105,000 a year, I presume you're either partnered, married, or claiming head of household. At $105,000, your tax bracket is pretty low. I mean, your top bracket is 22%. And here's the issue, gang. When we're talking about knowing what your tax liability is, having that security, we're at tax bracket levels and tax brackets in general and rates that are lower than they have ever been. So I would much prefer to lock in that tax right now, let all of that money grow in the future, not even think about it. And then later in life, when you are ready to pull that money out, guess what? It's already been taxed. It's fantastic. If you would like to ask us a question, anything going on in your financial life, we would really be delighted to help you out. All you need to do is go to jillonmoney.com and click the Contact Us button. And, there's a little box there. It says audio. Would you want to join us audio? Do you want to join us for video? And check one of those boxes because it's a lot of fun to come on the air with us. While you're there, check out my book, The Great Money Reset, which is now available in paperback. So you should check that out. The Jill on Money Show will be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. And before the end of the hour, let's take this email. This is from Chuck, who writes, by the way, this is one of our most common questions, so pay attention, everybody. Chuck writes, we're reaching retirement in a few years, but my $600,000 mortgage at 3.25% costs us $4,000 a month. We have 25 years left. Now, the bank allows us to recast the loan, and we have $300,000 in cash to do that. So should we pay down the loan, or should we just invest the money and keep paying the monthly payments as is? Well, Chuck, again, as I said, this is one of the most common questions that we field. And I think the reality is that the whole concept of paying down a mortgage is an emotional concept, especially when you have a mortgage rate as low as 3.25%. I mean, if you had an 8% mortgage, that would be a different question. And so I know that you would like to feel relieved of this $4,000 a month obligation, but I remind you that having access to that $300,000 in cash is worth a lot of peace of mind. What if you need some of this money? I'm not saying you will. Maybe you've got millions and millions of dollars invested elsewhere, but it's hard to make a justification for paying down the mortgage and recasting this loan when you have such a low mortgage interest rate. So without knowing anything else that's going on in your life, I would tend to think that maintaining a 3.25% mortgage, as odious as it may be to you, is probably the better idea. And maybe to make yourself feel better about it, remind yourself that today this is the right decision for you. Maybe in 10 or 15 years, you'll look at that mortgage and say, I just want to be done with it, and I have plenty of liquidity elsewhere. But until I am sure of that, I say just keep the mortgage. Peace of mind is worth a lot. If you're wrestling with the same pay down of a mortgage, give us a holler. JillOnMoney.com is the website. Click the Contact Us button, and we would be happy to help you out. The Jill on Money Show will be right back.
It's the weekend, and that can only mean one thing. You're listening to Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. We are here trying to help you make better financial decisions. Doesn't have to be the best. We're just trying to lay out the options that are in front of you. When I say we, I mean me and Mark Talercio. He's the best executive producer in the world, and we are both certified financial planners, which means we ask a lot of nosy questions and big picture questions. So even if you're calling in or writing in about something very specific, we'll mention things like estate planning. We'll ask you about taxes. We'll ask you about the stability of your career, because it will give us some guardrails to figure out what lies ahead of you and what the options are for you. So if you'd like to join us on the air, go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and there's a little box there. It says audio. Would you want to join us audio? Do you want to join us for video? And check one of those boxes, because it's a lot of fun to come on the air with us. While you're there, check out my book, The Great Money Reset, which is now available in paperback. So you should check that out. All right, let's go and talk to Christina from the Pacific Northwest, the great state of Washington. Hello, Christina. What's going on? How can we help you out?
Well, thanks so much for having me. And I love listening to your show. So my husband and I, just last week, we had a death in the family, and we never saw it coming. But my husband he found out that he literally just inherited a house for $350,000.
Oh my gosh.
And there is a savings account and a brokerage account that basically has $649,000 in it.
Wait, what? He knew nothing about this?
He knew nothing about it. And his mom, he's had a very volatile relationship, and she kept saying she was giving it all to the Humane Society. but he's an only child. And literally at the end of the day, he has inherited everything, and they have no mortgage. So the home is free and clear.
Oh my God.
And a massive bank account. So we don't know like what the inheritance taxes are going to be. And it's just so overwhelming.
My goodness. That's crazy though. All right. Well, but she did the right thing at the end of the day. And he has been notified because she did have a will, right?
Yes.
Okay. So there's 650 grand in savings and brokerage and a inherited house free and clear, 350,000. Is this a house near you guys? Do you want to keep this house? Do you want to sell this house? Like what happens here?
So it's a house in Texas, and we have decided that we want to renovate it and rent it out until we're ready to retire.
And then would you maybe retire there?
Yeah, we love this house.
That's kind of cool. Oh, I like that. Okay. So how much do you need to, well, I mean, I know it's early days. What's your guess as to what you would need to renovate it in a way that, you know, you'd be happy with, not just to like patch it up for rental, but to really do something with this?
We're thinking we're going to put about 50,000 into it from what he's inherited from the savings.
Okay. Tell us about you guys. Like 2 weeks ago, before any of this was happening, what was going on in your financial lives? How old are you? Do you have kids? What's going on?
So it's kind of crazy because I thought for sure we would have to work for the rest of our lives. I'm 47. My husband's 55. He makes $170,000 a year. He bonuses between 20 and 30,000 a year, but he only has 261,000 in his retirement currently, and it's a regular retirement, not a Roth.
Okay.
And then I make 67,000, and I have about 80,000 in a 401k, and I have 16,000 in a Roth, and we have $90,000 in savings. We have 23,000 in a brokerage account, and then we own a house in Washington.
The house you live in.
Yeah, currently, and that's valued at 850,000, and we owe 460,000 at a 2.875 interest rate.
Okay, do not make extra payments on that.
Thank you, Jill. So my husband wants to take his inheritance and pay off the house.
No, listen to me, Christina's husband. Absolutely not. I'll do that in a second. So you got a bunch of money in savings. You got the brokerage. You guys have kids?
No kids, just a dog.
What kind of dog?
King Charles Cavalier Spaniel.
So sweet. I love those dogs. I always think
Elizabeth
of Sex
Taylor. in
the City. Elizabeth Taylor from Sex in the City. Oh my God. Okay. So you guys though are living fine. Like you don't have any debt besides the mortgage?
No, we pay everything off monthly.
Okay. What do you suspect if you had to like really look at this? What do you think you spend on a monthly basis? What's your guess?
Probably about 7,000.
Okay. And neither of you will be entitled to a pension?
No, unfortunately
That's
not.
okay. That's okay. So he makes 170, 20 to 30 grand. You make 67. You're both putting money into retirement. But like how much are you putting away right now?
So I put about 24% away every paycheck. And then my husband has started maxing out and adding additional, because we used to live abroad for 8 years. So we didn't do anything with retirement while we were abroad. Well, my husband has 135,000 in a UK retirement account.
How do you get that?
Good question. That's what I say too. So I think he needs to just kiss that goodbye because it's going to be a hassle.
I don't want to. That's like a lot of money to kiss goodbye. I'm not ready to give it up. Listen, there could be a penalty to get it out, or there might be some process, but I can't imagine you'd have to like kiss it goodbye. It's earned. It's his money. Right now, it seems like you're saving a lot of money because you're putting money into retirement, both of you, and you have that savings account. So are you also putting money in savings every month?
So we try, but lately we love vacations and we've been spending a lot on vacations. So we haven't really been able to add much to the savings. It's just kind of sat at 90,000.
All right. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't worry, because there's $1 million just landed in your lap.
Oh my God.
I know,
Crazy.
right? How do you manage the brokerage account? Like, are you doing this yourself or is there somebody who's helping you out? What do you do?
No, myself.
Are you using exchange traded funds or mutual funds? Are you using individual stocks? What are you doing?
See, I knew you were going to ask that, but I'm a big dividend stock buyer. So I just look at what pays good dividends and kind of just throw money at that. I don't really know what I'm doing.
You don't know what you're doing.
I
So
just thought I just go to work.
Between you and your husband, you don't know what you're doing with the dividend stock buying, and he wants to pay off the mortgage. So forget about that.
Yes, I know. We're a hot mess.
But you don't. Okay, the real reason, let me just be clear about the house thing. The mortgage is so cheap right now that there's no reason to pay any extra on it because your money will work harder for you, not paying off the mortgage. Also, you're going to sell this house. Like, I don't know if it's going to be in 10 years or 12 years or 8 years, but if you know you're going to sell a house, you never make extra payments. That's the real dummy move, because then, you're kind of wasting the ability to have access to your money. So don't do that. Absolutely do not do that. So your husband can call me. I get him. We can run the numbers with him. So if you don't do that and you're using, let's say, $7,000 a month for your basics, but also maybe more because you take nice vacations, right? But you're never going into debt. So you're already supporting yourself fine. We'll get back to Christina in just a second. If you would like to come on the program, just go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button. We'll be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. We do that by pointing you to our website, JillOnMoney.com, which I think you've probably got bookmarked by now. If you're on that website, you'll see that it's refreshed all the time. You can sign up for our free weekly newsletter. You can check out my blog posts or the videos of most recent appearances on CBS Mornings. And you can also check out our YouTube show. It's called Jill on Money, powered by the Compound. So video, it's kind of cool. And we also have links to our 2 podcasts. One is called Jill on Money. The other is called Money Watch. And so we'll help you subscribe to those. More Jill all the time. Okay, right now, let's get back to Christina, who's on the line from the Pacific Northwest. So, the way the taxation works, she died in Texas, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the way that taxation works upon death is, first of all, there will be no inheritance tax. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to have an inheritance tax. Although let me double check that. So, because I sometimes states have weird, I bet that Texas does Texas death tax. Let's see what we got here. Everything, it does not have an estate. Okay. Thank you very much. Texas does not have a estate tax or inheritance tax. So that's good. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, you're under the federal guideline for her. So no tax due. Now, what happens for the house and the brokerage account, this is very important that you keep track of this, is that you will get what is called a step up in cost basis. What does that mean? It means that you should have somebody, a realtor there, do what is called a date of death valuation of the house, because you said it's worth about $350,000. That is now sort of the beginning of your cost basis in the house, just in case you wanted to sell it. Like if for some reason we go through this whole process and you're like, screw it, we're staying in Washington because we love it, we're just going to sell Texas. You want to make sure that there is a date of death valuation that is on paper somewhere that says, we inherited the house, it was worth $350,000. If we sell it for $550,000, there's $200,000 of gain versus what she paid for it if you don't keep the record. So, you get a date of death step up in valuation. The same goes for the investment account. Okay, so the savings and the investing, let's just make it this up. Let's say she died on February 1st of 2024. whatever the date of the stocks and the bonds and the mutual funds, whatever's in that brokerage account, close of day, that day, February 1st, that will be the cost basis that you will use when you think about buying and selling stocks in the future. This brokerage account is held where? Is there an actual broker with this account or not?
Yes. It's a Wells Fargo.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now that brokerage account is going to be put in your names or your husband's name, right? It's going to be retitled from mom's account to husband's account. When it gets retitled, that will absolutely mean that this broker has to make sure that the cost basis that's entered into their system is the date of death valuation of the account. This is a pain in the neck. Do you have a lawyer?
Yeah, well, we have a lawyer, an estate lawyer, right? We don't have a regular lawyer.
No, that's good, an estate lawyer.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to file an estate tax return for mom. It doesn't mean that there's any tax due, but it's like the IRS has to know that there's an estate tax that is like basically that you file it and say, we're underneath the limit. We don't owe you any money. So you should make sure that your estate attorney handles, and if they can't handle the Texas filing, you'll get a lawyer there. But you need to make sure that you file an estate tax return because she's the second death. She was married to your husband's father or divorced? Stepfather. Interesting. This is the plot thickens. My goodness. Okay. Well, you need to have a lawyer involved just to help you with that. Someone's going to have to file an estate tax return. It may be that that there's somebody in Texas that can help you out. Don't alienate our Wells Fargo broker till all these details are attended to. Maybe this person's good, maybe not, but it may be that you want to use somebody closer to you to help you with your own planning. And that was going to be my next suggestion, which is you've just got $1 million thrown in your lap. That's a lot. And so maybe this is a moment where we sort of take a breath and say, okay, I'm going to actually talk to a financial planner, get somebody who is a fiduciary, who's going to make sure, like a certified financial planner, who can help me plan how I can use this money. Because as you just said, your whole retirement plan just became accelerated. You are going to be just fine. You now have the ability to really contemplate something different. But I think with a planner, what will happen is that person can lay out what some of the options are. They may say, hey, you could be done in 8 years. And you might say, well, I'm not ready to be done in 8 years. I want to do it differently. But you'll see different options based on the money you have, the plan to move to Texas, the renovation. If all of a sudden the renovation is, you're like, oh, I didn't spend 50, I spent 150, then, maybe your options shift and maybe you want to do that. And maybe it's perfectly reasonable. But I think without running the numbers, it'll be impossible for you to determine that on your own.
Right. No, I really appreciate it. Like, oh my gosh, thank you so much.
You feel like overwhelmed, I know, but it's such a weird thing.
I know. Literally, we're still in, you're right. We're still in shock. We can't believe it.
Yeah. And it's also weird sometimes where I've been involved in these kinds of situations where people are like, oh, I didn't really have a great relationship with this person who left me this money. And I never forget this. One of my mom's best friends left her a lot of money out of the blue. Same thing. But he had like abandoned the family. Then he drops dead. He leaves her a bunch of money. Okay. So she kind of hates him. On some level, she really hated her father. She goes, I feel so conflicted. I'll never forget. I was little when this happened. When my father said, get over it. He just left you $1 million.
I know. So true. Oh my gosh.
So I think it's time to get a planner. You can go to, ask for if you have some friends who are, maybe can help you out, or if you're an estate attorney can help you out and give you a name or two, and just like work with someone who can do a plan. Doesn't want to sell you stuff. Don't buy in and don't go to an insurance person. You want somebody who will do an actual financial plan. And even if, by the way, if you just had to pay to do that, just to say like, I want this nice and clean. Can you do a plan for me? I'm not promising you that you're going to get the money. I'll pay you for your time. All those things are really important so that they're going to be like, there are some brokers and insurance salespeople who are going to look at you guys and be like, $1 million. Let me rub my fingers together. And then there's another 300 in retirement assets. And oh my God. And you know what? You don't need that right now. What you do need is someone to lay out different options and different ideas for you in how to proceed. No products, no insurance products, no bars, no investing, no, oh, well, you know what? My friend just opened up an Etsy store. No, nothing like that. Christina, I hope that helps. If you've got follow-up after you do that plan and you want us to help weigh in on that, we're happy to do that. So let us know if we can help you out, all right?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate the both of you.
It's a very strange thing. It's also, it's kind of emotionally complicated, but hey, take the money, change your whole retirement plan. It's something else. Are you wrestling with a big life question? Is it a birth? Is it a death, a divorce, an inheritance, something big going on? Well, we would love to help you out. All you need to do is get in touch with us by going to our website, jillonmoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. We'll get your note, and if you want to come on the air, Mark does everything else. It's just that easy. The Jill on Money Show will be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are here trying to help you make better financial decisions. We do that by pointing you to our website, jillonmoney.com. And when you're on the website and you're surfing around and you're checking out all of our content, wherever you are in the website, in the upper right-hand corner is a Contact Us button. Because sometimes you're reading an article or a blog post, or maybe you're coming to us from TV because you've seen me on CBS Mornings or one of our CBS affiliates, and you're potchking around the website and a question arises. Just click that Contact Us button and ask us that question. And if you're shy and you don't think you want to come on the air live with us, that's fine. But do give us a lot of the background information. You hear us ask these follow-up questions all the time. So make sure we have the information we need. Also, while you're on the website, don't forget you can subscribe to our service called Jill on Money Live. That's where you have access to quarterly live webinars, lots of cool special video and audio content. Our next webinar is just around the corner, and it is with one of my favorites, Cal Newport. He is a best-selling author. He is one of the world's top productivity experts, and he is going to share his groundbreaking philosophy for creating great work at a sustainable pace. If this isn't right up the alley of the Jill on Money listener, I don't know what is. All right, let's get to you. Right now, let's talk to Vivian, who's on the line from California.
Well, I have 3 years ago, I have purchased a fixed index annuity, and for close to 500 grand. And I'm pretty nervous about making that decision some time ago. And I'm not sure what I can go forward at this point. I don't know whether I should withdraw 10% without any penalty out so I can do my own investment, or whether I should just leave it alone.
Tell us about yourself. But before you we get into this, how old are you, Vivian?
I am 68.
Okay. And you put $500,000 into this 3 years ago. Do you have any other money that's invested besides this $500,000 in the fixed indexed annuity?
I have the 401k and some money in my treasury bill. The total will be roughly about $497,000.
Between the two, between the 401k and the T-bills?
Yes.
Okay, so about another $500,000. That's great. Are you still working?
I am still working. I'm planning to retire at 70. and I will be collecting Social Security, and at that point, it will be before tax. It will be roughly about $3,600.
Okay, great. And are you single or married or what? Partnered?
I am divorced. I'm single.
Okay. Do you have grown kids?
I don't have any kids.
Oh, so this makes the planning a lot easier. And do you own your home?
I do. I own my home, and the only thing I have to worry about is my property tax.
How much is the home worth?
Probably about 850 grand.
So no mortgage that's outstanding, right?
No mortgage.
Okay, great. So if you look at your property tax, but all your other bills, what do you suspect you need to live on annually or monthly?
I have just added it up just now. I think roughly about $3,500.
So you mean your Social Security will meet your needs for your expenses, pretty much?
Well, I guess I do have to pay some taxes on my Social Security.
Yeah.
So yeah, give and
Basically.
take, right?
Yeah. So do you happen to know what the penalty is? Like usually there's a declining percentage applied to the amount of money that goes in.
Right.
Do you happen to know what that surrender charge looks like?
The surrender charge will be roughly not quite $50,000, but it will be 40-something $1,000.
When does that surrender charge go away? At what point? How many years in do you think?
10 years. It's a 10-year plan, but I'm planning to annualize it at age 70, which is 2 more years. Now, in that regard, I just called them yesterday. They told me that when I do that in 5 years instead of 10, I will get the cash value instead of the contract value, which is roughly about $50,000 less.
Well, let me ask you something. Wait a second. So right now, the fixed index annuity, there's $500,000 in, which is about what you put in. This is an after-tax dollar that you put in, just to be clear?
No, the advisor transferred that money from my 401k.
Okay, so this is a qualified plan. Okay, so right now, how much do you earn right now?
Roughly, it varies, roughly about $90,000 a year.
So when you retire in 2 years, okay, if we don't touch this fixed annuity, so now at that point, I'm not even telling, like, let's just push this aside. Forget about the decision you made when you made it, okay? In 2 years, this will be now, you'll have this annuity that's sitting there. You'll be 5 years into it, right? And at that point, what you could potentially do is just leave it alone for another 5 years. You really could. You could just leave it be until you're starting to take your minimum required distributions. What happens then is at that point, you will use this annuity. You will annuitize this annuity, maybe at age 73. I wouldn't even do it at 70. But if you annuitize it at age 73, my question would be, can we annuitize that and avoid any big charges? Or do I have to wait the full 10 years? In other words, is it a declining charge or is it some sort of cliff that you have to wait 10 years for that?
It is a declining penalty charge into that 10-year.
I'm not even sure, but I'm not sure that you need to take 10% out. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Whether you need to, maybe we shouldn't even do that. You could leave it alone. It's fine.
Well, here's the thing, though. I'm looking at all the numbers, and I have hardly made anything in the last 3 years. It's actually maybe like 520. Right now, it's like 522.
And you put 500 in, right?
It really, It really hasn't changed a whole lot in 3 years.
But in a weird way, just to make you feel better, okay? If you think about the last 3 years, if you think of 2021 was a good year for stocks, 2022 was a terrible year for stocks, 2023 was a good year for stocks. It's not the worst thing in the world. We'll get back to Vivian in just a minute. If you have a financial question, just go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and let us know if you'd be willing to come on the air live. The Jill on Money Show, we will be right back.
401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are here trying to help you navigate your financial life. And really, when we say financial life, I mean, I am a certified financial planner, but so many of the questions that we are discussing with you are just your real life, and your real life will often touch your money. And that can lead to a lot of different kinds of issues that could arise. So if it's a new job, if it's downsizing, if it's buying your first home, if it's a tax question, because we are in the heart of tax season, ladies and gentlemen, whatever it is, it could be something that starts with a micro question, and we turn it into a larger question because that's kind of what we do. As certified financial planners, you're sort of taking a holistic approach to the world of financial planning. And Mark and I are both certified financial planners, although we don't have a practice per se. We use that designation to help you. So if you'd like to join us, again, it's just so easy. Go to jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button. We'll get your note. And if you say you want to come on via audio, Mark does all the arranging for that. And if you want to come on video and you want to join us on our YouTube show, Jill on Money, powered by The Compound, we'd love to do that as well. It's been a lot of fun learning about the video world when it comes to talking to you guys. So check that out. We really would be delighted to have you join us. Right now, let's get back to Vivian, who's on the line from California. I think what you could do is this. Take your 10% out. There's no penalty to take 10% out a year, right? So you start taking your 10% out. Keep doing that. When you are ready to think about your required minimum distributions, and maybe when all the surrender charges are done, you can just annuitize this contract. You could either do one of two things. You can pull the money out of the annuity to meet it, or you can take, when the fees are done in 7 years, you can roll it over and add it to your other money that is qualified money. You'll have your other money from your 401k, right? And you can roll this into your 401k. I wouldn't incur that big, huge charge. I really wouldn't. But I would say that I would take your 10% out until you get it down to, listen, if it's a 2% charge for the annuity to get out, the surrender charge, then you can roll it into your other retirement account, have one account where all of your retirement money lives. And then when you start doing your minimum required distributions, you'll have just one account to look at. The money you had, you said it came out of qualified money. Did that come like while you were in service, or was it an IRA account?
It's an IRA account. It's the 401k, right? Would that be qualified? Okay.
Yeah. So when you retire, you're not going to give this person the money again.
No.
Do you have an account somewhere else? Like where are you buying those T-bills through?
Oh, that's just some cash that I have saved.
Okay. So do you feel comfortable being able to manage this money yourself? Once we get to taking this 10% out and the surrender charge goes down, or do you need someone to help you manage the money?
I'm trying to educate myself, but it just seems so much information out there, and I don't know where everything goes. It is complicated to me.
Yeah,
anyway.
Absolutely. This is what I would suggest to you. Where is your 401k held right now for your current?
Fidelity.
Okay, perfect. So what you're gonna do is, when you're ready to retire, none of this has to happen right now. Okay. When you're ready to retire, you contact Fidelity and you say, I'm going to roll over my old 401k, right? And I'm going to put it into an IRA rollover. And Fidelity, I need some help, and get some help. And then they can help grab that money from the annuity when the surrender charge goes down to, say, 2% or so. Okay. And then you'll have it all in one place at Fidelity, and someone will help you manage that money. You don't have a money problem. You really don't. It was just that you were sold a product that wasn't great. But it's funny, when I look at everything, you're in really great shape. You're going to, in 2 years, you're going to collect your Social Security. You've got some money in T-bills. You'll use that. You can pull a little money out. When you're ready to take your distributions, you will be able to, those required minimum distributions, you're going to pay tax on it. Big deal. You're going to live life. You're going to have more money than you need, and you're going to be in really good shape.
Thank you so much for saying that. It's just, I mean, to make that statement, because I have been so worried.
Oh, don't be worried. Don't be worried. You know what's amazing? You've done an incredible job saving for yourself. You know, you've saved $1 million. Even if the annuity wasn't the best product in the world, who cares? You got $1 million. Take the 10% out without penalty until that surrender charge drops down. Or, you know, listen, when you're retiring and you have somebody at Fidelity who's going to help you out, let them do an analysis. Maybe it's worth getting out of that annuity sooner and paying the fee. But you have 2 years, take the 10% out without penalty. Then when you're ready to retire, you get an advisor through Fidelity. They roll over your 401k and they help you with this fixed index annuity, which will eventually just be one big IRA rollover account with your old 401k. Okay?
Okay.
Good.
Sounds wonderful.
All right, now listen,
so very much.
Do you have your estate documents done? Who's taking care of you, Vivian? I'm concerned.
It's one of those flyers that I got through the mail, and I went to the class, and they have set up everything. Basically, most of the stuff that is communicated through email or a phone call with the attorney.
All right, let's just make sure that it's done, and that's good. If you think you've made a mistake with an annuity or an insurance product, give us a holler. JillOnMoney.com. Click the Contact Us button, and we'll get you on the air. We'll be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. And before we conclude the show, we always like to have an email question that I think is always a good landing spot, one that is universal. And I love this question. This is from Anne, who writes, when it comes to the various questions I hear you answer on your show, I'm wondering, what's the annual growth rate assumption that you're using when you run your calculations? I'm just curious. This is a wonderful question. When you're using one of those handy-dandy, trusty calculators online, oftentimes the variables are predicated on you and what you would think is the right number for your type of investing profile. I am really wimpy. And so when I think about calculating anything like retirement that is 10, 20, 30 years in the future, I try to use a lower than the historical average return for a portfolio. So maybe if you look at the last 10 or 20 years and you say, I'm going to use an 8% return, I would remind you that at any given 10-year time horizon, you can have a much worse than 8% return. So when I look ahead and I want to be really, really confident that I'm pretty sure we can reach these returns, I use something like a 6% return. That way, I don't have to worry if markets don't cooperate. Now, if someone is 30 years old, I'm probably going to use more like 7. But I would remind everyone that the assumptions that we make around these numbers, you can test them every single year. So if you're wrong about the investment return, all that will happen is you'll have a lot more money. Now, I don't think you should be so conservative that it shows you need to save tons and tons of money today. But if you're someone who's risk averse, then maybe you use a 5% return. If it's 6 or 7, that's fine, but you've got to be sure that that's a return or that's a portfolio type that you can live with. Well, that's it. That is the program. Our music is composed by Joel Goodman. Mark Talercio is our executive producer and king of all things web. Try to lift someone up. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.